Wakati akisoma bajeti bungeni, Yattani amependekeza kuwepo kwa njia mbadala ya kuchukua na kulipa mikopo ya serikali, akisema vizingiti vya sasa vinazuia serikali kuchukua mikopo zaidi ya kulipia miradi ya maendeleo na shughuli nyingine za serikali. Tupate taarifa hiyo ambayo imeweza kuandaliwa na Waziri Kimathi.
Mr. Speaker, our medium-term fiscal consolidation policy targets to progressively reduce the level of fiscal deficit from shilling 862 billion, equivalent 6.2% of GDP in the financial year 2022-23, to shilling 634.1 billion, equivalent 3.2% of GDP in the financial year 2025-26. Mr. Speaker, Kenya has implemented reforms in public debt management to strengthen debt transparency and accountability. The depth of coverage and disclosures on public debt information has been enhanced in line with the best practices. A broad range of information on public debt is readily available to the general public on the National Treasury website, while an investor relations unit within the Public Debt Management Office facilitates investor, lender, and public engagements on public debt issues. Mr. Speaker, Kenya's debt carrying capacity is rated moderate, and the overall public debt is sustainable. We have initiated implementation of a set of measures to lower cost and risk in the public debt portfolio. These measures include cancellation of some non-disbursing external loans, rearrangements of syndicated external loans, and increasing the issuance of treasury bonds to lengthen the maturity structure and improve debt sustainability indicators. The preferred debt financing are highly concessional loans offered at below market interest rates with long repayment period. Recourse to commercial borrowing has been maintained at minimum levels. Mr. Speaker, the current legal numerical public debt ceiling has constrained public funding of projects, while at the same time failing to consider the effects of external shocks on the economy. In this regard, we propose to replace the debt ceiling with a debt anchor and set it at 55% of debt to GDP in present value terms. This is in line with internationally accepted conventional practice. Further, we provided a requirement that the Cabinet Secretary National Treasury reports to Parliament whenever the debt level swings beyond the threshold with time-bound remedial actions. This approach ensures that debt remains within sustainable levels and entrenches accountability and transparency in public debt management.
I have to start by mentioning or stating that, that change or the perceived change from, a legal debt ceiling of around, which currently stands at 9 trillion Kenyan shillings, to a debt anchor of 55% of the gross domestic product, it exemplifies, or it's a perfect example of, the politics of economic policy making or formulation. All this dates back to when the IMF, advanced some sort of financial assistance to the Kenyan government. That was it last year or 2020 when the Kenyan economy was struck or was, reeling from the shocks created by the COVID-19 pandemic. So one of the commitments that the Kenyan government pledged to the International Monetary Fund was to try and ensure that the debt level is sustainable. How sustainable it is, it's a matter of subjecting it to further scrutiny, because from my understanding, I do not really think currently the debt level is that sustainable. If we are to go by the recent tax increases, especially since last year, which in addition to other factors has also driven up and contributed significantly to the rise in the cost of living in the country. So far from that, I do not really think the change to the 55% of the GDP as the new measure of, public debt is going to save the country from, some of the effects.
Na mweledi huyo wa masuala ya kiuchumi akijaribu kutathmini swala nzima la mikopo na hata kiwango cha mikopo ambacho